fearless creator friends. This is Morgan coming to you, and I have an insight about vulnerability. You know, there's a lot of talk about vulnerability. You've got to be vulnerable, project your vulnerability, and it leads to happiness. In fact, there are some great TED Talks and stuff about that. And for a long time, I've understood that being vulnerable is important as an entrepreneur, as even a leader in our modern era, that leaders who pretend to be perfect are not really, often their leadership comes out of a sort of a false sense. People will look to them with a sort of envy, wanting them to be torn down rather than wanting to help build them up and their cause up. If you look at great leaders throughout history, they have exposed their humanity, their vulnerability. I think the misunderstanding is that it's a particular kind of vulnerability. It's not a vulnerability of like, look, I'm a victim. Look at me. I'm poor, pitiful me, and I need your help and I need your pity in order to get whatever it is I want in life, which may be just a feeling like I'm qualified to be loved by somebody because I'm so pitied. That's not what powerful vulnerability is all about. Powerful vulnerability is exposing who you truly are at your core, being okay with that and expressing that without any worry or concern about how you're going to be judged, without any attempt to attract any sort of sympathy or other crap, but just sharing authentically, because perhaps it can help somebody to share that way. I realized that some of the most powerful moments, this actually came from a conversation with somebody who's a client, and it was an awesome conversation. And I was like, well, what made you interested in the first place in working with me? And she pinpointed that it was some particularly vulnerable shares that I did in a group that we're in. And it was sharing, again, not from a sense of like, you guys have to help me or I'm so woeful. It was just like, here is the story of my struggle, and here's what perhaps other people in the group can learn from this story. So it was not a selfish share, it was a selfless share, a selfless expression of vulnerability, much like I do on these videos. I mean, my God, videos have been challenging in the past to make, because it's like I have to get on film, on camera, and record regardless of today, I started recording and noticed bags under my eyes. Oh my God. Do I look too tired to be on video? Well, it is the end of the day that I'm recording this, and so I'm a little bit more tired and I need to take a break and get refreshed. And sometimes in the past I would have stopped myself. And yet the whole point of making this video is to help you, to inspire you, to lead to change. But I can't do that if I'm not willing to be vulnerable. But it's not a pitying kind of vulnerability. It's a vulnerability from strength. It's like, this is who I am. And if you don't like it, go watch somebody else's video. I mean, seriously, there are so many videos on YouTube. Why the hell would you watch me if you don't like it, right? But we all go through life thinking, oh, what other people think is so important. No, it's not. It doesn't matter diddly squat, not one tiny little bit, not even one iota. It only matters that we're here authentically being ourselves, that we love ourselves, and that as a spillover effect from loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves, that we begin to be able to take care of others. But there's a difference between taking care of others and loving others versus being dependent upon their accolades or their respect or their whatever, their envy, or their saying, oh, that was good, thank you so much. No, we don't need to be dependent on that at all. We need to be dependent just on who we are at our core, and the power in that, the love in that, the truth in that. So that's what I have to share for today. From my core to your, this is Morgan. Let me say that again. Speaking of vulnerability, from my core to yours, this is Morgan signing off. I'll see you next time.